Good evening, English speakers. How you doing? Today is another surprise special live. The time is just a little bit before 11 p.m. here in Nagoya, Japan. And today's topic is going to be love, right? It's a topic that is kind of the central theme and the central message of almost every pop song that has ever been written and that has ever become popular on the radio or even in terms of sales of CDs, of records. And it's also the theme for today, which is Valentine's Day, right? Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. It's the 14th of February. It's a day when we celebrate love. This thing that we all call love, this thing that we sing about, this thing that we see in movies, that we hear being said between our favorite celebrities on the big screen in TV shows. But what is it really? Right? We're going to talk about that. Or we're going to talk about my opinions on what it is, or what I believe love ought to be. What I think ought to be the way we think about love. All right, and also how we ought to think about Valentine's Day. All right, so let's just write down the title and the theme for today's live. By the way, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for waving. I can see all of you waving. I'm trying to wave back at every single one of you, but there's so many of you. I'm kind of having trouble keeping track. Hey, look, if my audio is clear. If you can hear me well, please type a yes in the chat so that I know that you can hear me. All right. And today's topic is love. Love. All right. Okay. So we're going to talk about, I'm going to give you my thoughts. Okay. And this is how I think about this thing that we call love. Okay. And we're going to also talk about what I think love is not. And the thing is that we use this word in so many different ways to mean so many different things that it's easy to get them confused. It's easy to get them confused. All right, so let's talk about love. So love, it's most frequently used. Let me tell you a story. When I was in school, when I was a little kid, when I was in primary school, the only way that as kids we knew this word love, in my class, amongst my peers, where I grew up, which was in Brunei, was to talk about romantic love. Hey, I've got one of my students, one of my online lesson students here. Hey, thank you for our lesson. Thank you for joining the live as well. As children in Brunei, we only thought of this word love as romantic love between a romantic couple, say, between our parents or between, boyfriend, girlfriend, people who are dating each other, right? But we couldn't think of this word in any other way, right? But here's the thing. I mean, we had love for each other as friends, but we didn't like using the word love to describe it. So as kids, we would tease each other. You know how when you're really young, before you start to mature as a teenager and develop an interest in the opposite sex, before you start wanting to date people, before you get crushes on people, you don't want to mix with people of the opposite sex. There's this, in America, you might have seen American TV shows, kids talk about this thing called cooties. Nobody knows what cooties are, but it's this cute little name that that kids give these imaginary germs that are carried by people of the opposite sex, or by little kids of the opposite sex. So little boys would all be playing with each other. There'd only be friends with other boys in the classroom, and they would all say to each other, "Hey, don't go and touch girls. Don't let the girls kiss you. Don't hold hands with the girls because you're going to get their cooties. you're going to get their cooties, and nobody wants cooties. And it's the same. Like girls might, kind of group together, they'd be friends, and then they would say, oh, don't go and talk to that boy, don't hold hands with that boy or touch that boy. He's got cooties, and we don't want cooties, So as kids, we were like that too, and we would tease each other. So if say for some sort of class activity, the teacher was to put me and another girl in the same group, and we had to work with each other in this class activity, the other kids, my friends, the other boys, would start teasing me. And you know what they would say? They would say, David loves Jenny. Let's imagine this other girl's name is Jenny, right? So David loves Jenny. David loves Jenny. All right. So that's what they would say, and they would and they would kind of equate this word love with only romantic love, and that's not necessarily what it is. And part of that, I think, is our culture, right? My parents wouldn't use this word love in English to talk about how they feel, talk about, their relationship with me. Because I think in Tamil, which is my mother tongue, we don't use the word love, or we don't have an equivalent in Tamil that's commonly used to talk about love within family. We would say that you are very dear to me, or you're very important to me, you're very precious to me, but we wouldn't say the words I love you, between family. But the thing is that in English, in the English language, it's perfectly okay to say that within family. You can say to your brother, your sister, your parents, your children, your uncles and your aunties, your grandparents, you can say, I love you, straight up. And there's nothing awkward, there's nothing dirty about saying that. It's perfectly normal, it's perfectly acceptable. And those words, I love you, those three magic words, those wonderful words, you can use them even to talk about your love for your friends. And, if you think about your closest friends, right, it doesn't matter whether they're male or female, we can be friends with people of the opposite sex. A lot of us are as we grow up in school. I had friends who were very close to me, friends who were girls. We weren't dating, nothing romantic. We were just very close friends. And we used to say to each other, hey, I love you. Nothing romantic about what we're trying to say to each other. We're just talking about love between two friends. There's nothing wrong with using the word love to talk about love for your friends. So before we continue this live, I've got a few more thoughts I want to share with you. But before we go on, my message for you, or the one thing, if you only remember one thing from this entire live. By the way, Zulu, thank you for sharing that, man. The best love is mom's love. I'm not sure if I would say the best love, but a mother's love is one of the most amazing and incredible, most powerful things that exists in this world. I would agree. I would say that. But before we go on, the one most important thing I want you to take away from this live, Max Rad English, hey man, how you doing? Thank you for joining the live. Those of you who are not following Max Rad English, check out Max Rad English, all right? He's watching the live right there. He just typed, hi David. You can tap his profile straight to go over to his page, click the follow button, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. And you'll have yet another page to follow and learn English from. We're going to get back to my train of thought. I keep losing my train of thought. The one thing I want you to take away from this live is this. On Valentine's Day, it doesn't matter whether you have a partner or whether you're single, right? It doesn't have to be what companies that are trying to profit off of this festival or this celebration tell us it is. It doesn't have to be defined by profit-seeking companies. Just because businesses are trying to market and commercialize Valentine's Day as this thing between couples where they're trying to sell you roses and heart-shaped flowers and things that are, very clearly aimed at people who are dating each other or for married couples, there's no reason why we need to accept that definition and interpretation of what this festival is. If this festival is, as it's claimed to be, a celebration of love, we can celebrate love between us and our partner, our romantic partner, our husbands, our wives, our boyfriends, our girlfriends. We can celebrate the love between us and our family members, our brothers, our sisters, between us and our parents, between us and our children, between us and our friends. I shared this same thing last year on Valentine's Day. When I was in school, you know how I used to celebrate Valentine's Day? Not just me, but me and all my friends, like almost all the kids in my school. You know how we used to celebrate it? We would buy chocolates and roses for each other. And it's not just for the boy or the girl that we like, that we want to be boyfriend or girlfriend with. If I had 10 friends, right? Let's say that my close circle of friends consists of 10 people. I would buy 10 chocolates and I would give each and every one of them a chocolate and a little message that says, hey, I love you, I appreciate you, I'm really glad that you're my friend. And that's how we would celebrate Valentine's Day. So I would give a bar of chocolate or a rose to every single one of my close friends. And all of my close friends would give me, I would receive a bar of chocolate or a rose from each and every one of my close friends with a little message from them to tell, of them telling me how much they appreciate me. That's how we used to celebrate Valentine's Day. And I would also bring home some of that chocolate and I would give it to my parents and I would say to them, Happy Valentine's Day. In fact, just about an hour ago, I called up my mom. My mom lives in a different country, all right? And I talk to her about once a week on the phone. But I called up my mom and I say, hey mom, Happy Valentine's Day. Because that's what Valentine's Day is. It's a celebration of love. It doesn't just have to be between, married couples or boyfriends and girlfriends. All right. So if there's only one thing that you remember from this live, hey, it's Valentine's Day today. And depending on your time zone, you might just have only a few hours left. Take the opportunity. You don't have to watch this live to the end. The recording is going to be up for the next 24 hours. You can watch it later if you want. Get off the live right now. Either call up or send a message to your friends, your family, the people in your life who are important to you, and say to them, Happy Valentine's Day. I love you. I appreciate you. Tell them how much they mean to you. Right? That's what you need to be doing today, right now, on Valentine's Day, if you haven't done it already. Okay? Turya, one of my really good friends when I was in Malaysia, when I was a student, he's watching. Hey man, thank you for joining the live. So get your asses off this live right now. Go tell all the people in your life who are important to you, tell them how important they are to you, either by message, and if possible, call them, talk to them. All right, that's going to be my central message. Now, we're going to talk about a few other things. We're going to talk about what love is not. Right? Here's what love is not. Love is not selfish. Love is not selfish. And here's why I say this, right? I'd say the majority of messages that I get, direct messages that I get, and not just me, it's probably the same with a lot of the teachers on Instagram. A lot of us, we've got these big pages, we've got a lot of people following us. So, and by the way, I've got a lot of people saying to me, Happy Valentine's Day, I love you. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you I love you. I care about you. I do appreciate you, by the way. I'm going to take the chance to say that to you. Nasrin, today's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. If you're comfortable sharing, let us know how old you are. If you're not comfortable, you don't have to share that, all right? But happy birthday, Nasrin. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you for celebrating your birthday and giving us a chance to celebrate as well. Did I buy chocolates or roses for somebody? No, I didn't. So something interesting about Valentine's Day in Japan is, and I live in Japan, my wife is Japanese. Valentine's Day is not this. It's not celebrated the same as how it is in the rest of the world. So in Japan, they've got Valentine's Day on the 14th of February, and then there's this other celebration in March, exactly 1 month after Valentine's Day, and it's called White Day. White Day. And what happens is on Valentine's Day, the women or the girls would give chocolates and confectionery. Confectionery means sweet stuff, to the men and to the boys. So like at my office, the ladies that I work with in my office, they gave out chocolate to all the men in the office. And then on White Day, which is in March, exactly 1 month after Valentine's Day, the men would give chocolates to the women. So to all the women in my office who I received chocolate from, I owe them chocolate exactly 1 month from now. So in March, they're going to be expecting to get chocolates from me, all right? And not just me, but from all the men in the office, from all the other guys in the office. So Jackson, it's your birthday today, man. Hey, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Lovely Waimia. You have White Day in Korea as well. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I learned something new. Jackson, happy birthday, man. I hope you have a wonderful day. You're a Valentine's Day baby, which is great. Happy birthday. I'm glad that we got to celebrate your birthday here during this live. So I get a lot of messages from our followers who'd start their messages like this. They'd be like, hey, David, I love you. I think you're wonderful. I appreciate you. Can you give me free lessons? Is basically what they're going to be saying. And they would say this by saying, hey, I really want to improve my English. Can you help me? Can you help me? And here's the thing, right? I do love you guys. I do care about you. And I don't say that lightly, okay? But I don't love you more than, and this is what perhaps a lot of other teachers might not say directly, but the truth is, I don't love you more than my family. Okay? And I don't love you more than I love my own goals and my own ambitions and my own priorities. Okay? So in that sense, the truth is I'm a selfish human being. My own needs and my own priorities come first. And that includes, the time that I want to spend, unwinding after work, doing things that I enjoy, the time that I want to spend with my family, the time I want to spend on my work, and even teaching English online to everybody else, right? So the truth is, as much as I do love you guys, but I don't love you so much that I would sacrifice that much for you, all right? And not only that, I love every single one of my students. So I have, I don't see the point in hiding anything from you. I can be completely honest about almost everything related to, my English teaching career, because we're all family. A lot of you have been following me for a long time. I really do feel like we have a good relationship, where we have this trust, and we've known each other for a long time, even though I haven't met so many of you. So when I was working as a full-time English teacher, students would pay on a regular basis. They'd be perfectly happy paying this and satisfied with the quality of the lessons. Students would pay about $80 for a 1 hour lesson. $80, okay? So, and the fact of the matter is, English is a product, or English lessons are a product. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but it has value and it's a service. right? And if you are and it's a product that has incredible value in today's world and economy. That's why there's so many people who are leaving their jobs doing other things like engineering, and they're becoming English teachers because it's such a lucrative profession. There's a lot of money to be made as an English teacher. There's a huge demand for quality English education. But the key word there is quality. Quality. If you're able to offer a quality lesson, you can charge good money for that, and people are willing to pay. There are people who are willing to pay, and there are definitely people here in Japan who are willing to pay $80 just like that for a 1 hour lesson. And they would take sometimes 2 lessons a week. It's $160 a week. If they take that, they take 2 lessons a week every week over a month, what's that? Do the math. That's $640 per month. That's a big investment, but that's how important English is to them. That's how much they're willing to invest in their own personal development, in their education. So, if I wanted to, I could easily, I could sell 1 hour lessons in teaching English for $80, and I would be able to find people here in Japan who are willing to pay that. They were happy, when I was teaching at a school, they were happy to put that money in, and they were happy with the quality of the lesson. That nothing's changed. If anything, I have more experience now than I used to back then. So, but I'm not charging that. I'm not. When I teach online, my lessons are like $25. It's $25 an hour. That's a fraction of that. And a big part of that is because I do want to help as many people as possible, but at the same time, I've got my bills, I've got my electricity, I've got a family to support, I've got expenses that I need to cover. I've got to survive and support a family, support myself. So when somebody comes along and says, "Hey David, I want you to spend an hour a day or an hour a week or 30 minutes a week, just giving me 100% of your time, your skill, your expertise, which you could be earning money on if you were to spend it somewhere else with somebody else. I want you to give me that." And that's the entire message, right? Think about that for a moment. They say, "I love you," and then the only thing they're doing is just saying, give me what you have that's of value. I'm not vibing with that. I don't feel that, right? So here's what would make a little bit more sense. If a person was to say to me, "Hey David, I love you. I care about you. What can I do for you? What can I do to help you? What can I do to show you that I appreciate you?" Or if they were to just outright do something to just show their appreciation, now that's love. And there's a big difference to that. That's a person who has my attention, for one. And here's a tip for some of you who are aspiring teachers, who want to start your own Instagram page, you want to grow your page. I've had requests from people where they say, "Hey David, I've just started teaching English on Instagram. I'm trying to grow my page. Can you just give me a shout out?" And first, I usually say no. And it's because, for one, that's not how you just grow a page. I mean, what's the point? If all you're looking for is the numbers, what's the point? Why are you even doing this in the first place? Instead, if you are actually out there focusing on creating videos and content and educational materials that are useful, that are actually helping people, people are going to follow you. People are going to share that naturally. It's really simple. The way the world works is like this. If you offer value, naturally people will want to give you value back. So if you're creating videos or resources or lessons that are of value, that people find useful, they will naturally want to follow you. They will naturally want to share that with other people. And not only that, but other teachers who want to support you will give you shout outs, will actually share your content and tell their followers to go and follow you because your content is good. Not because you asked for a shout out, because you're actually creating value and offering value. it doesn't work any different in any other kind of human interaction or relationship. If I had somebody, I wouldn't hold this against you. A lot of you don't see what goes on behind the scenes. All you see is the finished product, the videos that I post. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into videos. Not just me, but every teacher on Instagram that you see spends a lot of time behind the scenes creating their videos. And they do that on their own time. Nobody's paying them for this. And if you were to say, for example, message a teacher and say, hey teacher, can I help you in any way to lighten your workload? I love the content you're creating. I love how you are giving us all these free resources. Can I do anything to help you? What can I do for you? And that was the end of the conversation. You're going to get that teacher's attention, and that teacher is going to want to do something for you. They're going to want to give you something in return just to say thank you. The power of gratitude, that emotion that we have, gratitude, the feeling of thanks, is such a powerful emotion. And I'm not saying, for a moment, I want you to just pause. Don't get this twisted. Don't get this wrong. I'm not saying that you should deliberately, on purpose, try to manipulate people by manipulating their feeling of gratitude. What I am saying is that you need to stop being selfish and just being like, hey, I love you, so gimme, gimme, gimme. And instead, you need to actually be thinking about offering value to others. And if you do that, if all you think about is offering value to others, naturally, people are going to want to offer value to you. People are going to want to help you. They're going to love you and respect you. All right, so that's number one. Number two, when you do offer value to others, keep this in mind. Love is selfless. Selfless. Selfless, right? It's the opposite of the word selfish. So I've known people in the past. I used to have a friend when I was a student in Australia. He was a generous guy. He would meet up with people. He'd meet up with these international students who are struggling with their English, and they're in Australia, and they're not really sure. They're not really able to find their way around. They're new to the university. It's a lot to handle. It's a pretty stressful situation to be in. And he would, give them his time. He would help them. He would, take them out, show them around the city, get them settled. And, he would sometimes get really frustrated because he would spend all this time, he'd spend all his money and his resources helping these people, and in the end, he would feel like they're not doing anything in return for him. He'd feel like, hey, Mustafa, hey man, thank you for joining the live. He'd feel like he's just being taken for granted, right? That all of his efforts are going to waste. And he was constantly upset about this. It was eating him up from the inside, it was destroying him from the inside. And I don't blame him. It's a sucky feeling to be in. I've experienced it. We've all experienced it. It doesn't feel nice when you put so much of your effort into giving to somebody, and then if you just feel like that's taken for granted, it sucks. It totally sucks. I get it. But here's the thing, you know what really changed my life is especially when it comes to like social media. Listen, I was never expecting my Instagram page to grow the way that it did. I started this page back in 2018. In 1 year, it went from like 500 followers, and all of them were just people who I knew. They were my actual friends. It went from 500 to 25,000 in 1 year. 1 year. How did that happen? I'll tell you how. I started being selfless. I started just giving to people. I didn't contact people and say, hey, I'm going to give you a shout out if you give me a shout out. I'm going to do something for you if you do something for me. There was no conditions attached. I didn't even tell them. I didn't even call them up. I didn't even message them beforehand. If I saw somebody who I appreciated on Instagram, on social media, I would just give them a shout out. I'll just do it. I wouldn't talk about it. I would just do it. I'd give them a shout out. I'd share their content. I'd tell my followers to go and follow somebody else. I would just do it. I don't expect anything in return. It's okay, and I don't always get something in return. A lot of times when I do shout outs and things like that, a lot of times, but not always, a lot of times the person that I give a shout out for would reply to me in the direct messages and they'd say thank you, and that would be the end of it. They wouldn't give me a shout out in exchange. They wouldn't kind of repay the favor or anything. I would get nothing in exchange, and there's nothing wrong with that. I am totally fine with that. Even if they don't reply, they don't even reply to say thank you, I am completely fine with that, because I am not doing the shout outs. I'm not doing anything in order to get, I'm not expecting anything in return. I'm doing it selflessly. There's nothing in it for me. All I want to do, the only thing I want to do is show this other person that I love them, show this other person that I appreciate them, and I want my actions to show that. And that's it. I'm not doing it to get something in return. So for those of you who think that you can message somebody and say really nice flowery words like, hey, I love you, you're the best teacher, you're wonderful, just so that you can get a free lesson or so that they can give you something that they probably normally wouldn't give away for free, you suck, is what I would say. You suck. You're a horrible human being and you need to change. You need to be selfless, is what I would say. Instead, if you were to really, really have a change of heart, right, and just only do one thing, which is offer value to others, if you were to only message teachers, expect nothing in return, and just try to help, you'd be amazed at what actually comes around. You'd be amazed. So many people will actually want to help you in return. And not everybody. Some people are just going to say thanks and that's it. Some people will say nothing. They'll completely ignore you and that's it. But that's okay. That's completely okay. All right? You can still be satisfied and happy knowing that you did something to offer value to somebody else. And if that's your only goal, you're doing something right. You're doing something right. All right? So that's what I want to leave you with. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the live. Thank you for staying with me right till the end. I do love you. Not more than my family, not more than my other priorities, but I do love you and I do appreciate you. And keep this one thing in mind. I am cheering for you. I want every single one of you to succeed in not just your English goals, but I want you to be successful in all of the other goals that you have in your career, your relationships, even your spiritual life. I am cheering for you. All right. You have a wonderful day. And Nasrin, thank you so much. By the way, I'm actually 32. I think I look 32. I think I probably look, I don't know, maybe younger than 32. But yeah, you guys have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. Don't forget to tell your friends, your family that you love them. And don't forget to wish them Happy Valentine's Day. All right. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.